What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red. And we back for some more of that Ali Land boxing talk, people. Alright, so, today I wanted to talk about why Manny Pacquiao chose to face Errol Spence Jr. Alright, y'all, so, I feel like that. Okay, where should I start? I feel like Errol Spence Jr. was the guy the whole time. I think Pacquiao was fishing with the other fights. He was trying to see what's the interest for the Mikey fight, what's the interest for the Ryan fight, what's the interest for the McGregor fight. But all the while, he always had Errol Spence Jr. in his back pocket. Even when he threw the big fishing pole out there, the big fishing lure out there, and tried to get the Terrence Crawford fight with the whole $50 million talk, I think he still in the back of his mind knew Errol Spence Jr. is right there. They had already talked about it. I'm pretty sure some type of contract had been shown, for both guys. The amount had been shown for both guys. And it just so happened that the timing was off after the Danny fight, so they didn't do it right after. They waited. Pacquiao tested the water. And it just so happened he ended up with a contract to face Errol Spence Jr. I feel like it was there the whole time, but we weren't 100% sure until it was signed. Okay, so we got that fight signed. What does Pacquiao stand to gain? Why would he choose Errol Spence Jr. over pursuing Jordanius you guys, perhaps rematching Thurman, going after Crawford a little heavier, maybe dropping his price down a little bit? Why would he choose Earl Spence Jr.? And I think he's going for multiple things on this one. I think he feels like he can win. Number one, I don't think he's going in this thinking he's going to lose or feeling like he's just giving the fans what they want before he retires. He's going in with a winner's mentality. He's been trained and sparring with a winner's mentality. So number one, he's going into this thing believing he can win. All right, number two, I think he's going for legacy. Legacy, legacy, legacy. He wants to leave something behind. There's an asterisk on Pacquiao's career. Unfortunately, no matter what all Pacquiao fans wanna say or how they wanna spin it, there is an asterisk on Manny Pacquiao's career. He knows it. I know it. Other analysts know it. The Mayweather fight. It's sad to say the Mayweather fight is a worse debacle for Manny Pacquiao's career than even the Marquez knockout. The Marquez knockout, because of how he was doing in the fight, because he looked so good in the fight, because he was winning the fight before he made that reckless move and got knocked out. I think people are willing to give him a pass on the Marquez fight, and the fact that Marquez won't rematch him. I don't know why. They offered him a lot of money for that rematch, and he turned it down. But the fact that Marquez won't rematch him, I think people give Pacquiao a pass for that Marquez fight, where they don't give him a pass for the Mayweather fight because of the price tag of the fight, because of the hype of the fight, because they feel like he hid something from them, because they feel like Mayweather's what is it? Can't remember his record. Whatever he is in O, because Mayweather is braggadocious, because Mayweather rubs it in his face. I think the fans won't let that go. And I think if Pacquiao beats Errol Spence Jr., it makes that Mayweather rematch look that much more appealing. It makes it seem like he's going for things he know will bait Mayweather out there and try to get him back in the ring. Now, if he beats Errol Spence Jr., best believe the talks for Terrence Crawford go way through the roof. But the talks for Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather should be astronomical numbers. I think in my mind we might not get that Crawford fight, but we might get that Mayweather rematch. I think he's going more for that Mayweather rematch with this choice than he is going to pursue a unification fight with Terrence Crawford, because Crawford is playing petty, him and Bob Arum, about the money. If y'all wonder why I keep wiping my face, I got the roof open because it's hot. and it's raining a little bit, so getting a few dribbles there and now and then, try to tuck up my defense a little fin. But anyway, they're playing petty with Pacquiao as far as the money goes. So I don't think we're gonna get a Crawford fight with Pacquiao. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen or before he decides to retire. But if Manny Pacquiao beats Errol Spence, y'all gotta let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. What are the chances him having what? He'll have 3 or 4 out of the 4 or 5 belts that are in the welterweight division. Terrence Crawford holds one. Well, he have 3 out of I think it's 5. Jordanis you guys has one and Terrence Crawford has the other. So and then there's still question. He won't be the unified champion even if he beats Errol Spence and goes and fight Terrence Crawford, because he has to fight. Somebody has to get that belt from Jordanis you guys from him to be the unified champion, unless they give it back to Pacquiao, which they haven't given it back to him now. I don't see why they would give it back to him, at this point. But moving on to number 3. So he's doing it for the legacy. He's doing it for to win, and then I think he's doing it for that Floyd Mayweather fight. It's starting to rain a little more, so I'm about to shut that. But he's doing it for that Mayweather fight, man. And I think the biggest reason out of those 3 why he decided to take this fight, I think it's 2 biggest reasons. The legacy is a big thing for Pacquiao. He wants to leave a great legacy on boxing, and the fact that he took that loss to Mayweather is the one thing that they're always going to bring up. I think that more than the Marquez knockout, people are going to bring up where you lost to Floyd Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather retired undefeated. That's going to be the question. Could he have beaten Mayweather? It's always going to be a question mark next to that Mayweather fight, because it could still happen. And if both of those guys retire before it does happen, I think if he beats Errol Spence Jr., people will still talk about that Mayweather fight like it's the one thing that Pacquiao didn't accomplish in his career. Forget about the Marquez interview, because he beat Marquez how many times before Marquez finally stopped him. Marquez refuses to give him a rematch, so I think people will give him a little more leeway because he fought Marquez multiple times, to where the Mayweather fight was a one-time deal. It was a one-stop pop. Mayweather beat him, and he got all the money. Pacquiao got downgraded because people say he wasn't really injured. People say he should have put up a better performance. People say Mayweather schooled him. People say Mayweather made him look horrible. People say Mayweather whooped him, And some people say, and most Manny Pacquiao fans say, he won because he was more active, But it's always going to be an argument about that fight. It's always going to be an argument about that fight unless he can get it back. And I think the one way he can get it back would be to beat Errol Spence Jr. and it would be to beat Terrence Bud Crawford and draw Mayweather out. But the problem with that is he still wouldn't be unified champ. So I'm wondering, are those 3 belts enough for Mayweather to come out of retirement? Or do you think it would have to be a situation to where Terrence Crawford fights Jordanis you guys, gets that other belt, because he has enough to beat you guys, but you guys is a tough fighter, don't get me wrong. I think you guys can give him problems, and you guys will give him a good fight and will show a lot more of what Terrence Crawford has to offer. But if in some fashion you guys got those belts, Crawford got those belts from you guys, Pacquiao got the belt from Spence Jr. and then Crawford and Manny Pacquiao meet up, you think then he could get a Mayweather fight? You think he has to go through all of that to get a Mayweather fight? Or do you think if he was to just beat Errol Spence Jr., Mayweather would be a lot more intrigued? There would be a whole lot more on the line. There would be a big money fight, and it would be enough to draw Mayweather out of the woodworks to fight Manny Pacquiao as a retirement fight. Would y'all rather it play out like that with the Crawford and you guys scenario, Pacquiao beating Errol Spence? Now, Pacquiao still has to beat Spence. Let's not just walk past Spence. Spence is a phenomenal fighter. I don't think he's the most skilled fighter out there. Not taking nothing away from him, not trying to down him. He's not the most skilled, but he possesses what it takes to win, and he wins. So you can't hate him for that. But do you think Pacquiao has to go through that first scenario with Crawford beating you guys, Pacquiao beating Spence, or do you think Pacquiao beating Spence is enough to bring Mayweather, Money Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather out of retirement to fight Manny Pacquiao, give him that rematch finally, and letting all of us finally see who is the better out of those two fighters, because we really don't know who's the better out of those two fighters off of that first fight. Pacquiao was injured. Mayweather was on steroids allegedly. He was on something, whatever he was on, I don't know, but it definitely was on something because he got caught with it. But let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section. Gonna be dropping a lot of videos, man. I want to know what other fighters y'all want to hear me give my take on. What other fights? What other topics? We can talk about anything, man. I'm willing to delve deep on anything, man. But it's your boy Cardinal Red. Where we at right now, man? We downtown Louisville, Kentucky, at the skate park, man. Then it started raining on me, but still got the topic out there, man. What do y'all think? Y'all feel like that's the reason Pacquiao chose Errol Spence, is to lure Mayweather out of retirement for that one last big fight before he retires? Or do you think he chose him because he's going for legacy? Or he just wants to win the fight? Those are the three options, man. Hit me up in the comment section. Hit that like button for me. Please subscribe, tell a friend. Anybody you know about Ollie Land, Boxing Talk, Red Room Sports, Cardinal Red. It's your boy, and we are out of here.